Good morning. My name is Mackenzie Morales, and today we're going to be talking about applying the key shifts in English language arts in social studies. Our grade level is grade 6. So, key shift 1 is the first shift we're going to talk about regular practice with complex texts and their academic language. So, what is Key Shift 1? Key Shift 1 emphasizes the importance of complex texts that the students must read so that they're prepared for the workplace, not only college, but the workplace, professional environments, uh, as well as just life in general. By the time students graduate high school, they really should be prepared for the challenges of reading at a college and professional level, which we often see a deficit in. Um, Students need to be proficient also not only in reading comprehension, but in academic vocabulary or academic language. So, what is academic language? Well, simply put, it's the language of the school or classroom. Our text describes academic language as necessary to properly describe subject matter that we're learning. We're going to be using precise terminology. And it's important to note while the standards include types of content for social studies like our foundational US documents, the decision is really up to us as teachers or districts to get creative, hold the sixth grade attention span. It's up to you to become um, to become enthusiastic about your subject matter. Next, how would you incorporate this Key Shift 1 into the social studies classroom? Um, so we can incorporate this shift by supporting our students um, with a diverse academic vocabulary and diverse reading texts. We can model how to frame things in an academic manner, how to translate historical texts in more informal language and then back again. I use the example here about um, ancient Egypt history when we talk about the mummy was placed in an ornate sarcophagus. Okay, so this activity, translate this to informal language. Simply put, the preserved body was put inside of a decorated coffin. Okay, now let's translate that back. You always want to end on the academic language. And then we can also break into groups and pass out um, academic passages and have the groups re-explain the passage using social language, but always end back on the original passage. What are some of the challenges and what should we do? Well, a challenge to this is any student who struggles with reading, writing, speaking, or listening will find complex texts and academic language challenging. There is a specific group to this that is very challenged by this, and this is the English language learners. These students have reduced exposure to English outside of school or the classroom. This means increasing complexity of reading and vocabulary is going to become frustrating for them. Okay, so what do we do? We can use visuals and become very animated. We want to cement this into their memory by playing charades, acting out an academic term or idea. And another thing, never be afraid to allow this student to use their translation tools, refer to their notes. We want them to strengthen that newly learned academic language. We can also ask the students themselves to act it out, draw it, and use it in a sentence. This is going to support the learning process of these words. All right, key shift 2, reading, writing, and speaking grounded in evidence from both literary and informational texts. So in social studies, we really focus on our informational texts. Key shift 2, what is it? So what does this mean? This calls for students to defend their responses with textual evidence. Before this, many questions relied solely on the student's prior knowledge and experience, and that just doesn't prepare the student for college or professional life. So students must be able to answer text-dependent questions. Forms of writing prior to this were even dependent heavily on prior knowledge. You want to make sure when you make those questions that they can't answer them other than using the textual evidence. We don't want them to answer them using opinions. We want facts. This key shift is heavily rooted in evidence-based writing with the ability to demonstrate knowledge. We want them to demonstrate knowledge and, when necessary, demonstrate persuasiveness. So how can we incorporate Key Shift 2 in the social studies classroom instruction? So I love this strategy of RACE. We're teaching them to ground their evidence from the text. This is an acronym that allows them to do this. So restate, students will restate the question that you have asked them. This can be modeled first. I like to model this with several examples. So you restate, then the students will answer all parts of the question. Some questions have several parts. They will cite the textual evidence and then explain how this evidence supports the answer that they came up with. So what are the challenges, and then what do we do? Well, we all know that the reading levels, decreased literacy levels, reading levels in the classroom are a challenge. Does the student have any exposure to this up until this point in finding textual evidence? If there has not been much experience finding textual evidence, we need to scaffold this skill. So I like to do this by teaching the student to isolate the textual evidence that they're looking for. How can we do this? Well, I like the activity of highlighting the question with a specific color and then going to the text, finding that answer and the textual evidence that supports that answer and highlighting it in the same color. Key shift 3, building knowledge through content-rich nonfiction. fiction. Okay. So this key shift asks our students to be engaged in learning about the world around them so that they can become well informed with strong content knowledge. Um, to do this, we need to immerse them in informational text. Not only does content nonfiction build content knowledge, but this is going to foster independence with their learning. So for Key Shift 3, building content knowledge through building knowledge through content-rich nonfiction, how are we going to do this? What does this look like in the classroom? Well, we want to give access to a volume of informational text. This can be done through online platforms. A lot of districts offer, they pay subscriptions to these platforms, offer a plethora of selections. Grab their attention. Choose informational texts that build content knowledge and strengthen academic vocabularies. Offer choices. These choices can be linked to the subject area that you're learning, and use strategies for building comprehension of the subject area. Key Shift 3, building knowledge. Again, what through content rich nonfiction. So, what are the challenges of this? What can be the challenges of this? So, one challenge that I hear a lot of um, cohorts talk about is access to pertinent, rich, content rich nonfiction relating to the sixth grade content area, which is ours is social studies. This might be, oftentimes, my experience has been it's a district funding issue, or we just simply have a lack of resources. This can be overcome very easily. I hear a lot of complaints. However, if you just do some simple searching, there are free platforms that offer a variety of texts that are very applicable to our subject areas. I just listed a few here. There are many. I like this ReadWorks. They're in no specific order, by the way. ReadWorks offers a lot of content. Then we have Scholastic Teachables. I absolutely love PBS Learning Media. And then the OR Project. All of these are absolutely free. They're free to us, they're free to our students, and there is no excuse why we can't offer um, a, a content rich resource. And so this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. I look forward to working with everyone. And here are the references, and happy teaching.